This podcast is a collection of past and new friendships that I've had the honor and privilege of journeying with in this life. We've shared moments of laughter, challenges, and triumphs that should be documented for the world to see and hear. So my prayer is that this pod is relatable, authentic, and encouraging to all who watch or listen. Enjoy the episode. Man, listen, this is Barr+Friends episode 5. I'm here with my boy GQ Greg. Happy 30th birthday.
I really wish. Thank you so much.
For sure,
40,
for
God
sure.
is good, man.
Amen,
Thank God.
amen, for sure. You are very family oriented.
My family's my friend, if that makes sense.
No, that makes
But
perfect
I'm trying
sense.
to change that a little bit now.
Right.
I'm trying to break that pattern because I know I need to outreach and be around more like-minded people as well. You know, that's why I love talking to you, bro. Like, you know,
Appreciate that.
there's real people that have the same beliefs, and I think I put myself into a little hole, so it's like for protection, and now I'm just trying to like break that habit. You know what I mean? To give others my energy as well.
Bro, I totally get that because I know you, because you have brothers and sisters too,
So
right?
I have two sisters. I have
Okay.
an older sister.
Okay.
And my father got remarried, and I have a little sister.
Oh, okay. Because, see, I'm the only child. So for me, it was just me and my mom. And so I would just be, creating fun things to do as I was a child. You know what I'm saying? Like playing with Power Rangers, playing with Ninja Turtles, just finding other creative ways to just, I guess, keep myself, entertained. And I find myself being like you, Greg, because for me growing up, I have no problem with making friends. But for me, I just rather just be alone and just do things myself. And that's actually something that I've been talking to my fiance about because, for so long, I have been doing things my way. I've been living how I want to live, do what I want to do. And so, she's been talking about us doing things together.
Yeah.
Like when we get married, going on vacations, going on trips, doing things like that. And she's like, no, like you are not alone. You have somebody in your life now that you can be able to do things with. And it took her to kind of snap me out of it. It's not like a selfish thing. Like I have a few friends. I have pastor friends, but just sometimes I just forget that, oh, that's right. Like I do have friends. I do have people that I can be able to hang out with and ball or whatever. But, for the most part, I can be a loner.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. It's too much for me. Honestly, man. Like long story short.
Yeah.
I was in a very long relationship. I was in a 13-year relationship, and she was literally like the biggest blessing of my life, even to this day. Like I tell people all the time, like we're not together, but she's my family. Like literally, like I die for her to this day. She was more like she came into my life and showed me like it's not about me all the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
And one thing I always tell people when I talk to them about relationships and getting married and those steps, I didn't take those steps because I didn't know how to.
Right.
If that makes sense. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I was always so used to, all right, this is what Greg does. He goes to the gym, he plays ball, he gets his money, he goes home, restart. And it was always like me. And then it was like, how could you say you love somebody? But she always saw me, that's why I'm so like indebted to her for the rest of my life, because she always was like, I see you. You know what I'm saying? And I think I'm trying to break the form of my point. Like it's trying to break the form of just doing what's good for me all the time and just trying to break that pattern. Like you were saying, it's hard, man. It's a thin line because you also don't want to lose yourself. You know it's important. You're disciplined.
Right.
I'm very disciplined in my ways. Like I do the same thing all the time. Like I'm like a 100-year-old man. I feel like with that kind of stuff. But
Right.
That blessing of having that woman in my life really showed me, and now it's like I'm just so at peace, bro. Like that's what I look for most of anything, just peace. Like,
Just
I don't
peace.
like drama.
Yeah,
I don't like none of
man.
that. So,
No.
I'm so happy for you that you're.
Oh, man.
You
Thank you, bro.
The way I see it in your eyes. It's a beautiful thing, man. I wish that for everybody. I've had enough love for a whole lifetime. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, I say that people think I'm crazy, but I literally had love for a full lifetime. Like,
Wow.
I'm good now. You know what I'm saying? Like, God knows. I leave it to God.
Right.
Everybody's always like, oh, you guys hit. God knows. We leave it, as long as everybody's good,
Right.
spread the positivity. So
Are you content with being single for the rest of your life?
at this point,
How do you feel?
I think
Yeah.
so, man.
Yeah.
Like I'm okay with it. I mean, I'm still. I say I'm old, but then I look at it and I take a step back and I'm like, yo, 40's nothing. Like my father got remarried and had my second, my little sister at 44. You know what I'm saying? Started a whole new life. Like anything could happen. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
Right.
I think it sounds silly, and I know I shouldn't do this to myself, but the bar is so high now.
Because you already been through. Yeah. Yeah. Say less.
That love that I had was like
Right.
a person like me. I love everyone. I give whatever I can, but for me to be super duper selfless, like it was another level. So now it's like I'm a little guarded. That wall is up, and it's like I think I just want my peace, man. It's weird. It's hard to explain. I think I don't know if I'm cutting myself short in that sense.
Right.
I don't know where it's going, but right now, if you ask me that question this second, I think I'm okay.
Right. Right. So you're cool with like going on dates,
Nah,
having
I
friends.
don't go on dates. I haven't. Yeah, I don't do dates, man. I haven't done a date. I've been. Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, it's a little touchy. I don't really talk about it. I'm only talking about it because it's you. Like, you're
Yeah.
allowing me to do this. But
For sure.
I know some people would say it's unhealthy, but it's what I'm doing. It's what I'm comfortable with. It's what I feel, and God understands me at the end
Right.
of the day. You know what I'm saying? So,
For sure.
Um,
And you are a man of routine. You go to the
yes,
gym.
yes,
You know.
yes.
You got acting gigs. So hey.
Routine is
Routine.
the perfect word. Like I said, discipline. I think it's a little more of routine. Like discipline and routine are, they cross paths.
Facts.
For me, and that's pretty much what. Like if I don't do the same thing, I feel a little nuts.
Nuts.
And nothing could pull that from me, and she did.
I was just going to
That's
say
what it
that.
is.
I was just going to say that.
She was the only one I felt was worth. Like I don't want to
Right.
use the word worth it, but I am using the word worth it. So,
Right. And, trying to have a woman or introducing a woman into your life right now, since you are a man of routine, it's going to say, well, baby, let's do this.
Possible.
Let's do that. What?
you nailed it. You're nailing it. Yeah, like literally impossible.
Wow.
And I
Okay.
also hold her so high that it's hard, man. It's hard to
Right.
13 years is like, 13, 14 years is pretty much, I'm 40. It's my whole growing stages was there. You know what I'm saying? So I don't even want to it feels almost like I'm so loyal that I don't even want to disrespect in that way. Like
Right.
to be walking in the street with another woman, like I just can't do it. I'm not there yet.
Wow.
I'm not I guess I'm not healed in that sense.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, but some people would say I need a therapist for it, but I don't. You know what I mean? Like
'Cause you're
I'm
good.
okay. Yeah, because I'm okay. Yeah, seriously, like I'm literally okay. So
Man.
it gives me more of a chance to even. What my focus is now is working on my relationship with God and learning the Word more than anything. And that's what she did for me, man. Like she literally, I literally texted that the other day. I said, "Yo, because I was baptized Greek Orthodox. My father's Greek Orthodox, and my sisters and my whole family. And she's a Christian woman. So I didn't even know the difference when I first met her. I thought Greek Orthodox was Greek Orthodox and Christian. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
didn't even know it was Greek Orthodox Christians. Like in my community, the way I grew up, it was like, oh, you have to be, you're Greek.
Right.
But there's more to it than that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
she opened my eyes to all that. Like, changed everything. And that was a big, that's God's work. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's where it's just so much intertwined in it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say I've been touched so heavy for so little time. 13 years felt like 80. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if I say that to somebody who's never experienced it, they're not going to understand. And I don't expect nobody to understand. Like, even my
Right.
family's always like, oh, what are you doing? You should have kids. You should get married. And I'm like, I don't expect for you to understand. Like, I'm good. Like, really, I'm really good.
You're really
Like,
good.
I got God. I'm good. Like,
Right.
as long as she's good, I make sure she's everybody. As long as everybody's okay, I'm okay.
Right. And since you are a man of basketball, I like to think of it like this. It's like for me, no one will ever top Michael Jordan. He is the greatest basketball player of all time. Now, some people say Kobe or whatever, and he's a strong number two.
Yeah.
But like, if I can be able to bring it to back to you, it's like you dated someone like a Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
That's funny.
you don't know. You can try it, but it's like, nah, like I actually had a real good thing.
Yeah.
Like that was my Michael Jordan.
And then the question I always get is like, so why don't you get back together? And I'm like, the time, like, that's God. That's, you know what I mean? Like, you just
Right.
can't force something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's tough. But what you were saying about Mike, I totally agree with that. I actually used to call her the White Mamba, which is funny. But with Mike, it's like, what I explain to people about the Michael Jordan conversation, since I love basketball so much.
Right.
Mike played basketball, but Mike was bigger than basketball. It's as
Right.
simple as that. Like you looked at Mike and it was a glow, bro. Like once you saw him, it was like you wanted to turn the volume up. Like the new
Right.
guys, like they're good, but I'm not gonna tune in when they're talking. Like when Mike talks, you listen.
You listen, bro.
Simple, like I think it's as simple as that. And when she spoke, I listened. You know what I mean? Like, and to do that to me is tough. It's tough to I don't want to use the word tame, but yeah, I guess tame.
Right, right, right. Now, your whole idea of dating, like, did that stem from the divorce that your mom and your father had?
Could be.
Okay,
I mean, could be.
okay.
The whole thing could be from that. I think about that sometimes. I mean, my father is the most loving man. Like,
Right.
unbelievable, bro. Like,
Right.
super selfless, does everything for everybody else, puts himself last. My mom's a tough cookie, but she's changed so much, bro. Like, she's so loving.
Yeah.
So I saw my dad, hurt, and I think maybe that kind of like, because I actually, when my parents separated, I went with my father in the beginning, which kind of like was detrimental to me and my mother at one point, because that kind of like put I was always good with my mom, but that kind of put it like a little, it's normal. She
Right.
was hurting. She went through a whole thing. I don't know exactly why they separated. We don't know. You know what I mean? Like I never
Right.
want to cross that boundary. I was a kid, but
Right, right.
I think that has something to do with it for sure. I think maybe seeing how much work they put into it and for it to just unfold. But then again, now that I'm a grown man, I understand life happens. Like things happen. You know what I'm saying? And my parents are both still amazing to me. They've always been,
Right.
even through the separation. So I was blessed in that sense. Like some people don't even have one parent. So how could I even complain? You know what I'm saying? I've had a good life.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
blessing.
Yeah.
So good, so good. Now, I live with my mom because my mom and my father, they got divorced as well.
So, yeah.
But the thing is that usually kids go with their moms. So I want to know, like, how was your experience with your father growing up?
So my sister. So the way I looked at it, it wasn't even like a personal thing towards my mother. It was more like a. My sister was going with my mom. I knew it, so I was like, "Yo, I feel like I'm just leaving him alone. Like I can't do it." Even though
Right.
he went to my grandma first,
Right.
and I was comfortable with my grandma as well because my grandma was really like my rock, man. My grandma was my first exposure to faith. She
Right.
was a very faithful woman. Like anything went wrong, like leave it to God, like always. You know what I mean? So I was so blessed in that sense. But back to your question, it was amazing. My dad's such a loving guy that it was like it was just stress free. There was no stress at all. He's very, very loving. Hugs, kisses. Used to come to all my basketball games.
Man.
Always there. Like the guy would literally take to this day. Like I'm 40 years old and he works. He lives in Bayside. Takes the train to the city. Takes the train to Astoria to have coffee with me, and then take the train back to Bayside, just to come spend like 30 minutes with me. Like,
Wow.
yeah, super humble dude. So, growing up was with him was it was fun. It was fun. It was a short term. It was probably like 2-3 years, and then went back to my mom. It was a long time ago. I'm trying to think now. It was like 25, 26 years ago, but
Wow.
it was good times. I miss him.
What's like a few memorable moments that you had with your father? Stories, conversations.
Well, the best for him is like he has this little thing where he likes to make up jokes,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes they don't hit, but he'll still laugh, and he gets into this deep laugh where I start laughing, and then we'll just laugh for like 10, 15 minutes, bro. Like straight, like he's wiping his eyes, crying, like tearing, like,
Yo.
you know what I mean? Even to this
Yeah.
day, again, like he's just so. I don't know how to explain it, man. He's just a different kind of man. He's just so humble, and he just loves his family. Like he's a family man. Like you don't really. I don't think they make men like that anymore. Same thing for my mom. I don't take my mom's the same exact way. Like they don't make women like her anymore.
Wow.
My dad, like other memories, I would say, he just. My parents were separated, but I didn't feel like they were separated because he was just always there, bro. Like calling me, texting me,
Wow.
hugging me, kissing me, showing me love. I'm trying to think of this, just so many memories. Like probably the best one, and it sounds corny, but we used to drive down to Florida all the time, every year, and I used to always sit behind him, and he used to always put his hand behind, like, hold my leg, or like just show love in different ways like that. And I think about it now, I'm like, damn, like if I had kids, I know what that would feel like. You know what I mean? It's just
Man.
that love is just crazy. Yeah. It was just I'm getting emotional just thinking about it, but it's wild.
Wow, man. That's so cool.
Like my dad's like a super duper hard worker. You know what I mean? Like 7 days a week. He's 66, man. I'm talking about 7 days a week, still grinding, working. and his first thing when he calls me, he's like, "How's work?" And I'm the opposite, man. I'm an artist. Like, I literally, like, you could tell me from
Right.
even when I was a kid, like, my aunts and uncles used to be like, "Yo, you're lazy," and I'm like, "Nah, I work smarter, not harder." Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I'm all about if I could work a little less, live a less of a lifestyle, and have more time to myself, and be in the art. Even if I'm sitting and doing nothing, like that's what I like to do. That's what inspires me and fills my soul. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But again, they don't know because my dad's dad was the same way. Work, 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 work. So this gets passed down. I mean, I don't mean to get off topic here, but like what I've been going through now that I'm getting older, especially, is like I catch myself when I'm praying. I say Father a lot. You know what I mean? So my father's my father on earth, but at the end of the day, it's here and he's perfect.
Woo.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's nothing like when I talk to him about my dad, the first thing that comes to my head is like, your dad can't be perfect. You know what I mean? Like me and my dad have, even now, like he got remarried, we have our little, our little separation. We were like super tight, and now we make time for each other when we can, kind of thing. You know what I mean? But
Right.
I can't hold that against him because he's having his life. He's a man. I'm a man. It's just hard. It's hard to get that, to wrap that around our heads. But nobody at the end of the day is perfect, man. Like I'm trying to stay present. That's one thing I'm trying to work on now, especially as well. That's another
So
thing.
good.
For me, at 40, I'm trying to stay present. Like that's the one thing I really want to work on because I think being present allows everything else to happen.
I want you to talk more about that because I find myself in that same vein with you because I am like 5 or 10 years in my head, like out. Like I am never in the present. I'm always thinking about just the next move, the next goal, the next vision, the next place. Where I just really just feel this sense of, hey, Christian, just be present, be in the moment. Because you know what I realized too, Greg, is that I have been asleep all throughout my life. And this is how I can be able to explain it. It's like between, trying to go to college and messing around with women and, clubbing, just the life, I realized that, man, I could have been doing this podcast 10 years ago. I could have released a book 10 years ago. I could have done so many things. So I feel like in my late 30s, I feel like I'm just like playing catch up with everything. And I had a conversation with my auntie a few years back, and she's like, Christian, you just been asleep. Like you were living, but you weren't present. You were just doing what you wanted to do. You were just having fun, but you didn't really take your life seriously. And I just feel like at this age, before I get any older, I just want to be present and I just want to attack the things that I need to attack, like my health. That's why I hit you up and like, yo, listen, I gotta lose this beer gut. Help me. Yeah, thank you, man.
Yo, you actually
I'm,
look good, man.
thank you, man. I'm trying, but it's just like, it's like, because I don't want to be 60, 70, or 80. I wish I coulda, woulda. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really want to be present. I want to be in the moment, and I just want to just make goals and visions and actually stick to them and do them.
Mm-hmm. It's tough. I think, like, I laughed because I'm in the same boat. Like, I look back and I'm like, man, like, I've been doing this acting thing for almost 10 years now. Like, hard. Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm still not where I'm at. But then again, it's like, if you didn't do what you did 10 years ago, then this podcast you wouldn't be able to relate to the people who are actually listening. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it like God knows your timing. He knows my timing. And that's why I was saying even about my relationship earlier, like, timing is, we have to trust. At the end of the day, it's all about trust. I know it feels like, does it really matter? Like, that's what I always tell myself. Like, all right, I want a TV show, right? I want a contract.
Right.
I'm going to get it, and then I'm going to be like, oh my God, I got to go to work for 8 hours. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, enjoy the process, bro. Like, enjoy this process. Like, this is super cool. Like, I walked in here, and I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like, I could come and talk to you every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, you made it comfortable. But you might not have made it this comfortable 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're here right now for this reason. Like, you're talking and you're just so much more experienced. You know?
Right. Yeah. And that's what somebody else told me too, to say, hey, Christian, listen, it's okay. You know, you're still young.
Hmm.
You can still do a podcast. You can still do everything you want to do except for maybe play basketball because I can't be running like that. I don't know how LeBron James does it, but
I'm still playing. I just played today. I was playing with the young boys. I
crazy.
just played like 4 games, man. Thank God I'm 5'6", so I don't got to worry about no knee issues.
Now you said that you agree with me as far as like being the greatest of all time. Jordan, you think so?
100%.
Okay,
I feel like
okay,
it's not even a conversation, but I know a lot of people have their views on it. But for me, it's like I was saying, it's more than basketball.
right.
Jordan was literally, he changed the game and he changed everything. Clothing, branding, this, that. Like, look what the guy's doing, man. Like, it's almost ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. He's just a different. That's another tier.
Yeah.
LeBron and all them are right there. LeBron, Kobe, they're under there.
Oh, they're there.
They're unbelievable. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, but Jordan he's untouchable. He's untouchable.
For sure. Where were you at, if you can remember this? Where were you at, and how did you feel when you heard the news about Kobe Bryant passing away?
I was actually home. My best friend, I think, if I remember correctly, my best friend called me and told me. And I said, "Nah, no way." And I turned it and I checked. I think my phone, and I was like, "Wow, man, this is crazy." And then I was like, "It just goes to show you that nobody's untouchable." You know what I'm saying? Like, rest in peace. Praise to his family. But he was touching a lot. I think he was gonna do like I saw it change into more where he was gonna do more now than he
Right.
was while he was playing because he was
Right.
just one of those guys. That's the only reason why I compare him to Jordan more because he was just so locked in.
He
And
really
I love
was.
to lock in, man. I'm 40 years old. I still play ball, and people still look at me like, "Yo, why are you still so locked in?" I'm like, "Yo, this is how we do things. Like, it's either you do it or you don't." You know what I mean?
Right,
That's
for sure.
that's what Kobe was all about. But yeah, that's it's still it's a shocker.
Man, crazy. What got you into playing ball? Like,
Hmm.
what? How did it become a passion?
So I love soccer first, and then my
Oh.
cousin Pete, rest in peace, he passed away when I was about 17. He was maybe 24, 25. Everybody thought he was my brother. We lived a block away from each other.
Hmm.
He was like my big brother, man. Literally, like literally, like I have tattoos everywhere just for him. Like that's what as I was growing up, he was that. My other cousin used to make fun of me because I always wanted to be like him. He was one of those dudes like if he would buy a pair of Jordans, he would buy a pair for me. Like
Wow.
super duper close, and he was into basketball. So then I started. That's when my parents were working, and then I started staying with him a few summers, and he would just take me to the park. And everybody knows me for throwing like pick and rolls and stuff. And I say this story because it's funny. We used to go to the park, and he used to be like, "Yo, you ain't shooting, just pick and rolls." Like to me, because he wanted to shoot the ball. He was like, "You can't." Like I used to just go to the
Yeah.
park and just pass him the ball, and then passing just became so like I just fell in love with the game, man. And then we used to get 20-piece chicken nuggets and just eat it and go back to the park. We used to be able for like 10 hours a day, man. Yeah, unfortunately, he passed away when he was about 24, 25. He had testicular cancer that moved up to his belly area.
Oh man.
Yeah, yeah, too soon. He was another one. He was one of those guys where I think now that I'm 40 and I look back, I'm like at 24, he did more than I did in 40 years. Like he was just so smart, touching, doing things, helping people, and he was a little crazy. Don't get me wrong, always making fun of people and this and that, but he was a kid. But I looked up to him, man, and that's one person that's always gonna stay.
Man.
My first prayer, last prayer. I always pray, for him, especially for his family. He had a twin sister, his parents. It was just a tragedy back then. It's hard to explain. But when that loss happened, I think that's when my eyes opened up. Like
Mm.
anything could happen at any time. You know what I'm saying? Like I was in a high school relationship back then where
Right.
I wasn't really close to him at the end when he got sick, and that really like messed with me for a while. To where I was like, yo, if I was around him a little more, I would have noticed. I don't mean to get sappy on it, but
Nah, man.
it was a lot going on. But as I grew in my faith, I said, listen, there's nothing we could control. Like death is part of life. Like even the same thing with the Kobe situation. Like I feel horrible, but who are we to? I'm sorry. I pray for your family. I hope everybody's okay. God rest his soul. But loss is terrible, man. But we're gonna keep seeing it. As we get older, it's gonna be more.
Absolutely.
That's my only fear now.
Right.
That's my only bother. It gets to me.
I'm with you on that. I mean, even with, my mom and my close circle of family, like they're getting older. And I'm like, man, like I may have to go to one of these people's funerals. You know what I'm saying? And so Because, when you're a kid, you think that, your best friends, your brothers, your sisters, your family, people that you're close to are going to be able to,
Forever.
forever.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But then when you get older, I'm like, oh, no, they're going to spend life in eternity. And I need to make sure that I spend as much time with them as I can
It's heavy, man.
now,
It's
bro.
heavy. It's heavy. Like I think about it. Look, I'm getting like I get emotional thinking about it because when I'm with my parents, especially, like I try to cherish the time that I have with them. My sister
Yeah.
has two girls, my nieces, which are like the most beautiful girls in the world, man. I'm just
Man.
around them, and I'm like, damn, I was that age. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I gotta try to be there for them as much as I can. I fall short there because they're in Jersey. It's a little further out, but it's like
Right.
I want to be that uncle that's there and loving and work on the relationship with my sister and make sure I'm there with everybody. It's hard, man. It gets heavy, but I think what you said, we just gotta just cherish the time and make the best of it.
Absolutely.
I don't even know what to say about that. Like that's hard.
That's hard, bro.
That's
For
hard.
for sure, for sure. Now, do you think that you were that good or that great that you could have been maybe in the NBA?
No way. No chance. No chance. I mean, listen,
Really?
I played high school basketball. I played AAU, traveling this and that. My best friend, we used to travel around everywhere and play.
Right.
We were in it deep, man. Like we used to go to Rucker Park. We used to go, everywhere that we could play, we would play. And if there was games going on with pros, we would go watch. Like we really lived. I lived in the '90s, man. So like '90s basketball in New York, nothing better. Like I remember the first time right here actually, IS-10. Doc, God rest his soul, he passed away. He used to run an AAU team, and he told me to come to practice with them.
Mm-hmm.
There was some like guys that were going high D1, so I walked in and I thought I was good. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh,
Right.
I'm good in my neighborhood. Everybody knows that I play ball. I went there. I was like, took a step back. I'm like, okay, gotta figure this out real quick because these guys are unstoppable. Like pros, man, it's another level of basketball. They're pretty much the separation between pros and regular people. What people don't understand is, say I'm 5'6" with a ball handle, right? Now give that ball handle to somebody who's 7 foot. What do? There's nothing you could do. You can't teach size. You can't teach strength. You can't teach speed. Like LeBron is a freak, man.
Right.
Giannis is a freak.
I was just gonna say,
I see
yeah.
Giannis in person, and I was like, that's not a real human being. That's why he's making 50 million a year. You know what I mean? It's an oddity. He's an oddity. Like these pros, it's only 500 guys in the world that are playing in the NBA.
Right.
That's what I tell people. It's only 500. Like that's crazy. Like if people really think about that, sit back. Everybody who's a pro now was the man at some point in their lives. But once you get into the league, it's just everybody's so good that you got to play your role. And then there's gonna be a few superstars, and the rest are gonna be like role players. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I guess that's the thing that gets me is that there are 500 NBA players, but there are other people on the street corner in the Bronx, in Brooklyn, that can probably play even better than them.
I've seen it. I've seen it so much. But again, the thing comes down to what you were saying earlier, like the discipline, the routine. That's what separates people, and also the part of who's your circle. Like me, like when I was playing high school basketball, I was just worried about passing class, getting 65s just so I could play. But nobody ever explained to me that with 65, you can't go to any college. Like you're gonna have to go to like a JUCO or a D3 school. And at that point, it's like, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like if somebody would have explained it to me, then I could have went away for school. Everything could have been a little different. Like my best friend did it. You know what I mean? He was smart, did his thing, great basketball player, and he went to a D2. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
like I look at him and I'm like, he did great. Like I look at him and I'm like, yo, he really did the right thing. Stayed in school, did the right thing. Went D2, got a 4-year degree, experienced it, and that's what I try to tell the young kids too. Like even that I play ball with now, it's not about going pro. I think it's about experiencing it. Because if I
Right.
would have went to school at 18, came home 22, I would have been a different man. You would have been on your own. You experienced things. You're realizing what hard work is.
Right.
Me, I got caught up with like doing the same routine, like chilling with my boys, playing ball at a certain time. We was hustling to make sure that we could play ball at a certain time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we weren't doing the greatest things, but we just did that so we could enjoy. Like, it was just you get caught up in that little circle. You know what I mean? But
For sure.
yeah, there's so many people that didn't make pro that should have been.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Just around here, we have like 10 guys that I can name.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it goes back to what you're saying. And I'm even learning this at a later age in my life that it really does take just discipline and routine because all those professional NBA players, they're on a routine. They have to because they're getting paid to go and to play games, to show up.
So, with the thing with the NBA guys, even the pros,
Yeah.
the ones that really put the work in, those
You
are the
know.
guys you see that are superstars.
Right.
The other guys, they did what they had to do to get there, and they're just super talented, and but they had the routine to get there. That's how I think. I think they had to stay disciplined. They had to work out. They had to do what they had to do to get there.
Right.
If you don't have that routine and that discipline, there's no way. That's everything in life, though, man. Like even going to a 9 to 5, like I could never do it. I'm 40 years old. I never had a 9 to 5 in my life. Like I don't never had a 9 to 5 in my life. I don't know how people wake up, go to work from 9 to 5, and then wake up and do it again. Like to me, that's the strongest people in the world. That's how I look at it.
Right.
That's strong to me. Like to wake up and be like, I'm gonna go to work again 9 to 5 for 5 days and then be off on the weekend. Like that's crazy to me. Like I could never wrap my head around that. It's hard. It's hard, man. That's that's the hardest thing. Like I look at my parents and I'm like, sheesh, I could never do it. I'd rather go to jail.
Wow, bro.
I'd rather get 3 meals. I'd rather get whatever they give, 2-3 meals. Like, it's hard, man. It's
Bro.
hard. That's who I salute. The people who grind every day and make this world work. That's who really runs the world. Like the 9 to 5ers, you know what I'm saying? Like my also the way my lifestyle of living doesn't allow me to have I look around at my family and my cousins, they have beautiful things. They have houses, kids, cars, jobs, and I'm still single by myself. You know what I mean? Like I'm okay with it.
But you're okay with it
I'm
though.
great with it. God is good. I have no complaints. You don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring.
Right.
I'm good with whatever comes at the end of the day. But some people also need things to motivate them to live the next day. I don't. I think that's how I explain it to people. Like somebody might need a Range Rover to feel good to be able to go to work the next day. Maybe that gives them energy. Me and what you said is like, you're an artist, bro. Like the first day I met you, I could just tell, like, you're free-willed. Not everybody's like that. There's different people for everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
9 to 5 will always be there. And like I said, I big up everybody who does it. I mean, I could never do it. I'm too weak to do it. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm too weak to do a 9 to 5. Like mentally too weak. I've had maybe 60 jobs my entire life, Christian. I'm not even kidding, bro. Well, I walked in and I walk out same day. Yeah. Yeah.
What?
I remember my sister, back in the day, my sister was dating this guy. He was making real good money with the mortgages. He's like, yo, come work with me. Yo, he bought me 2 suits, ties, this and that. I thought I was in like boiler room. I was like, oh man. He's like, yo, you have a Cadillac in 2 weeks, like grind out. I went there. He's like, yo, just make these phone calls. Boom, boom, boom. And then, you just start making money cold calling. I look at the phone. I'm like, yo, this ain't for me, bro. So I call him over. I'm like, let me talk to you real quick. He's like, what happened? I'm like, I gotta go home, man. He's like, really? I'm like, I call my cousin. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna be on the lawn in Long Island. My cousin Chris. He comes and he picks me up, man. I just sat on the lawn for like 2 hours till he came and got me. I was like, yo, this just ain't for me. Same day. And I felt so bad because he bought me so much stuff. He was trying to push me and motivate me. I don't know if I shoot myself short as well, but I just listen to my soul, bro. Like what drives me, what motivates me. And I think that all goes back to being present as well. It's a tough conversation. It could go either way. It's really all what you want at the end of the day in life. I think there's no right or wrong.
Right.
It's all about leaving it to God, and coming back to, to asking those questions. And I think that's the biggest part of being present. Because when I'm present, I find myself praying more. I find myself being kinder, not frustrated, thinking clearer, helping others. Like if you can't, I feel like a 9 to 5. By the time you get home, you're fried. It's hard. Like.
And you can't spend time on the things that you want to spend time doing.
Mm-hmm. But you can't tell that to another person who doesn't understand that. It's tough.
Right.
It's a thin line. You know what I mean? Like some people are just so in that rat race. Money
Bro.
motivates. Money don't motivate
Right.
me. Money don't really. Of course, it's nice. I want nice things.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
For sure.
Like, I love jewelry. I love clothes. I love hats.
Right.
I love my things. I would love a nice car, but at what cost? That's what I always ask myself. At what cost? What cost will it take for me to get those things? I look around me and I see a lot of stressed out people trying to upkeep a lifestyle that isn't manageable. You know what I'm saying? I have debt like everybody else. Don't get me wrong, but
Right.
it's like if I get one big check, if I get one film, one show, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like I'm taking that money and I'm flipping it. I'm gonna flip it and flip it and flip it and flip it. That's how I'm looking at it. I'm not gonna. I'll stay in my apartment, bro.
Hey, hey, make it happen, make it work. I'm cool with that. I want to talk a little bit about our faith. How did you? I know you mentioned earlier that your family was raised
Greek Orthodox,
Greek
right?
Orthodox, right, right, and then you got saved, you came to Christ,
So
or
I haven't been rebaptized. I was
okay,
baptized when I was a child.
okay,
But like I was saying, my ex girlfriend put me on to like
right,
I went to South Carolina with her a few times, and I went to the church there, and then I started listening to Joyce Meyer. I started listening,
right,
and everything was like, whoa, like it was a different world for me. It's like, see, because I grew up. I don't want people to take it in the wrong way, but I grew up to where, if you heard a born again Christian, oh, they're brainwashed.
right,
That's how I was taught.
right,
Growing up in the story, you know what I mean?
right,
Like, oh, they're gonna come and try to change you, and then when it happened, and then I started seeing all this, I was like, wait, this is the truth. Like, this is what it's supposed to be. Like, it's not about me going to church with a suit, sitting there not understanding what my bishop or my preacher is talking about,
right.
getting nothing out of it. That was more. I think. I love the way I grew up. Don't get me wrong, but that's more tradition than it is faith. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
religion, right, right,
it's two different things. Tradition
right.
is different than understanding.
Yeah.
And I'm far from understanding. That's one thing. Like I'm learning
Right.
every single day, and that's my biggest prayer. Like my biggest prayer is to give thanks and to be able to read, to write, to understand more of the word. Like the book is there. Like it's right there. Like everything we need is right there. You know what I'm saying? Now it's
Yeah.
up to us to read it and live by it. Cause I super fall short. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm still making sure my hat matches my sneakers. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to strip that. It's hard. We grew
Right.
up in a culture where we grew up that way, but I'm trying to strip that. I think I lost track. I'm babbling, but
No, it's okay. No,
yeah.
like how you came, how did you come to, or born again? How did you come to the acknowledgement of Christ?
I think it was that. I think it was more of. I've always had it. I've always felt like I've always had some sort of peace.
Right,
It started with my grandmother. She used to always put on like Greek liturgy in the morning, and she used to burn incense, and she used to always pray, and you know, if something would go wrong, she'd be like, "You'll be fine. Like God got you." In Greek, she would say like, "It's all gonna be okay," and I think that always resonated with me. I always found myself spiritual in a sense, always giving thanks, and then as I grew older, I have a tattoo on my chest that says God's Warrior. And I
Yes.
always think back and I'm always like, why did you get that? Like, I got that when I was like 20 years old. And I don't know why. I can't tell you the pinpoint why I got it. But it's just, I remember my ex was with me when I got it and she was like, do it. I wanted to do it and she was like, do it. That's what you need to do. Like, that's God speaking to you. And I think those little, it started falling into place. And then I started, reading, writing more and listening to things and just opening up to that side of things, you know what I mean? And now it's like, oh my God, like it's never enough time, bro. Like, where do you find the time
Wow.
to even read and pray? Like, I wish I could just
So
do it all
good.
day.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. For sure, for sure. Have you had any spiritual encounters with the Lord that you can
Most definitely.
recall?
I think the most powerful one to me was one day I was on the train, and I had this little scenario where I was on the train and there was a man across from me. I don't know. I wouldn't say he was evil. I don't really want to say it in that way, but he kept staring at me, and I just felt weird, man. Like I was like, what's going on?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I pass out, and I'm having a dream, dude. Like that never happened to me. I'm super healthy. I didn't drink nothing. I don't do drugs. I've never been drunk in my life. I don't do none of that stuff. So it was like, wait, hold up. So I remember being on the train and I was just roller coastering down real quick, and then a small voice said, "You're okay," and then like let go. Like that's what I kept feeling, like a whisper, like let go. Stop fighting it, kind of thing. And I was like, yo, am I about to die? Like it was just everything was racing, and then I saw my whole life. I saw my childhood. I saw my loved ones, my parents, my ex girlfriend. I saw everything was just like it was just playing real quick, and I was going, and then all of a sudden I let go, and it was the best feeling. I was like, it was almost to the point where it was like, all right, if this is it, I'm good. And then that's when I was like, God is real, bro. Like, I had no panic at all. There was no panicking, no panicking. And then I woke up. I was a little dizzy. I got back on the train and I went back. But it was like a really weird experience. I explain it. I haven't said it to too many people, but that to me was like so much reassurance. And I just see reassurance everywhere, man. Like I don't believe in good luck. I don't believe in coincidences. Like me coming to you today. Like I thought my day was gonna be boring. Like this right here is therapy. Like literally, you just gave me a therapy. I might Venmo you later on.
Oh, hey, thank you.
But yeah, man. I mean, God is all around us if we look. That's the difference. I think it's all about looking. It's not just gonna hit you. I think we got to look and search.
For sure, man.
Continuously.
Whew. Yeah, man. And I have one encounter that I had with the Lord, man, and it was probably when I was 10 years old. I was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, before I moved to Orlando in '95, and
I didn't know you were in Florida.
yeah, I was in Florida. Yeah, just for a short time, and so my grandma, she is a praying woman, so I would remember her getting up at like 5:30 a.m. and just praying, and sometimes in the summer times I would actually join her in prayer as well. But this one particular day I joined her in prayer, and she was recovering from a surgery, and she was walking with a cane for like the last couple of weeks, and we were in prayer, and she was on one end of the room and I was on the other, and I was just kneeled over just like this, and the words came to me: tell your grandma to get off that cane. And I'm like, huh? Like, this ain't me that's talking. What? So I was trying to shake the voice and just try to pray, but the voice kept on getting louder: tell your grandma to get off that cane. And so I got up and I said, Grandma, the Lord told me to tell you to get off that cane. My grandma threw that cane to the side. I said, oh, thank you, Jesus. My baby heard from the Lord.
That's amazing, man.
But
yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I'm not surprised. I think what
Crazy.
you just said is what it comes down to as well. Like, I think we hear a lot, but we just don't stop and listen. We deflect a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do it.
Bro.
I get into situations where I'm like, should I be doing this? And then I hear it. I'm like, be selfish, Greg. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
go do it. This is what you got to do right now. But
Right.
it's not what I got to do right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard. I think, do we ever get to the level to where we're fully present and allowing? Is that even possible? Like, that's what I really want to, like, that's my understanding. That's my question to you, my question to everybody listening. Like, do we ever get to a point where we're, I wouldn't say satisfied with who we are, but are we fully ever open?
Right.
Is it reachable, or is that heaven? Wow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I felt that day on the train. Like, bro, complete peace. I'm talking about, like, I hate bringing up the guy that was looking at me because that was the scenario. I don't want to say the devil was looking at me and try to, like, put me out or anything like that. I don't know what that situation was. But what I felt was that, like, pure peace. Like, I've never felt peace like that in my life. Like, and I think I never will until I pass away again. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I have no fear of the afterlife at all because of that. Obviously, like, losing people, like we were saying, like,
Right.
losing my parents and losing people. That I think about that and I ruminate. But me personally, I'm not afraid.
Man.
That's dope though.
Woo.
Grandma through the cane. I wish I would have seen that.
I was like, wow.
She was probably so happy that
Right, that I
like,
actually.
oh, he's not evil. He's
Right?
Good, he's good, yeah.
So I was like, wow. And so, and
spoke to him.
yeah, right, yeah. And then that's when I knew. I'm like, wow, Lord, you're real.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you,
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to throw it off. I
Go
don't want
ahead.
to take over your show.
Please.
But it's a problem that I deal with a lot, and I always try to, like, anybody that I feel like I could be open with, I want to ask them this question. How do you personally deal with people who say they're Christian and a believer, but then you see them having so many false idols.
Ooh,
That's my biggest struggle right now, man. Like, I get very frustrated. I
yeah.
get very angry, and the old Greg comes back.
Yeah.
I just walk away from situations, and I'm trying to find the words, and I can't because I'm nobody to judge anybody because I'm far from perfect.
Right.
But it's a real question, and I feel like.
And no, that's a very good question actually, because I joined back TikTok. I don't even know why I did it, but I joined back on TikTok, and there are a few people that do like tarot card readings, manifest stuff like that, stones and all that. I'm just like, man, I'm like, if you guys only knew the real true savior, man. So for me, I'm like you, it frustrates me and I just walk away or I just turn it off or whatever. But for me, it's more of a sadness because it's like they're going to continue to live their life and not really experience the true power of Jesus. Mm-hmm. You know, so in the moment I become upset, I become angry, but then I'm like, dang, like I kind of feel bad for him.
Oh, I do too, for sure. But my thing is like, how do we deal with is it possible for everybody? Like, I think that's where like it comes back to like my family growing up, right? What I was saying, where if they heard a born again Christian, it would be like, oh, they're brainwashed. I think it's not being brainwashed. I think you become so passionate about it that you just want to speak about it all the time, and then people look at it like, oh, you're brainwashed.
You're brainwashed,
like,
right?
I'm at the point now, bro, where I just want to talk about it all the time, and it's like I find myself not being able to, so I gotta hold myself back, and it's like it's a struggle, man. I wish we would have people talking about that more, like that narrative. Like, how do you deal with people who aren't going in the same path? You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to just surround yourself with like-minded people. Is that the answer? But then again, it's not, because then how do you lead by example?
Right.
It's tough. It's tough. I'm trying to strip it. Me, I'm far from it. I'm still like,
right.
I get to a point where I'm like, I just want to take them and shake them. You know?
Right.
That's
right.
not the answer.
No. Right. No. Well, what I found myself doing, bro, is I just continue just to love them.
Yeah.
There's a coffee shop. I'm not going to call out, the coffee shop, but there's this coffee shop that I go to a lot, and they're not practicing, Christianity. They're practicing something else, and I just find myself continuing just to be nice, be kind, be gracious, be loving, and just see if that will kind of just, because they're not mean people. Yeah. It's just.
Of course not. Yeah, I think what you're saying is exactly what I always try to tell myself as well. Just lead by example and just be who you are.
Right. Because I don't want to say, oh, they're going to go to hell. I try to stay away from that.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's what exactly. But I'm getting to that point where it's almost
it's a fight. It's like a tug of war inside of you.
I feel it on the heaviness in my soul. You know what I mean? Like, and I find myself almost to the point where I don't do certain things because I'm like, they're doing this, and then I'm like, yeah, but I can't be judgmental because that's not what we're supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to go and just be myself, no matter what. It's just, it's a whirlwind right now, man. I'm almost like when I was growing up, I went through the push and pull of trying to be a tough guy and trying to be a good guy. Because with my family, I was a good guy, but then outside, I was a tough guy, trying to be.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, just so nobody would, we had to build that.
Right.
But now I'm at the point where it's like, I'm fighting with these two sides of I want to be this man, but I'm still here.
Right.
How do I get there when it's still, and the middle is so frustrating.
Right. And then here in this too, as you were talking about it, I just had this idea too, is we can be able to say what we want to say, but then it's like, but what are we doing behind closed doors?
Yeah, no. That's exactly what I was saying. I'm far from.
Because I'm such a hypocrite. Because here I am preaching and sharing motivational, spiritual videos, but I can be doing God knows what behind closed doors. It's just, yo.
I'm telling you, man. Like, I totally agree with you. Like, I grew up with tough guys, man. Like, you know what I mean? So it's hard to break those patterns. Like right now, my biggest thing is I'm trying not to curse. Like I've
Right.
done that so much. Like I'm really working on that. But it's like what you said. It's like how can I judge somebody when I'm still so at fault? But then it's also I gotta be honest to myself and understand my emotions as well. So it's like a constant like push pull. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's like a back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
And even saying what you said earlier, doing what your soul wants you to do
Yeah.
or wants you to say. You know what I'm saying?
It's hard.
It really is.
I just wanted to pick your mind on that.
Yeah, no, that was good. Yeah, no,
I see what you thought.
I just honestly, if you're gonna say anything, just make sure that it's done in love. Like, hey, listen, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I see you, but can I introduce you to someone else that could be able to, change your life? That could be able to love you, to be able to set you free. I would come from it from that angle instead of just being, pissed off Christian and Greg. You know what I'm saying? I don't. Right.
Puts a bad name on,
Right.
on what we're
Yeah.
what we're our beliefs. That's at the end of the day. That's what it's all about.
Do you have a scripture or scriptures that you meditate on throughout the day?
So it's funny you say that because I've been struggling with that as well. I've been reading a lot. I've been reading the Bible a lot. I'm an actor. I do a lot of memorization for lines, but I'm horrible at memorizing things. So even with scripture, like I'll be like, oh my God, this is so powerful. I'll read it a million times, and then you could ask me, and I just can't remember it. Even with lines, like I'll do my lines for a role. I'll do them, and then I will. If you tell me what were your lines, the next day I'll be like, it's just washed out. So I'm working on that.
Wow.
So I really can't tell you there's a.
Okay.
But I got a great gift for my birthday. I got a communion cup.
Okay.
And she actually wrote communion prayers in it, and I told myself now like this is what I gotta do. Like I gotta literally because I love it. What she wrote in there was like so heartfelt. It's real. I want to memorize. Like that's my new goal. I want to start memorizing and being able to really sit back and pray on it while I'm reading it. It's not just. It's too. You could read as much as you want, but if you're not, it's like acting.
Right.
You could read that script as much as you want, but if you're not in that, what you're reading,
Come on, bro.
it's not gonna show. You
That's
know what
so
I'm saying?
good.
We could read as much as we want, but if we're not really feeling it, what's the point?
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that for sure.
I know it sounds horrible that I don't know any scriptures by heart, but
No. I mean,
it doesn't sound horrible. Trust me, it bothers me. No. It really bothers me. It really gets to me, and I'm like at this point where I'm like, all right, I'm setting new goals. So that's one of them.
For sure. How did you get into acting? Yeah.
I never would have thought I would be an actor. At first, it started with modeling.
Okay.
It started in the modeling. I had a friend, Jessica Fajardo. She's a big time promoter down in Miami now. She's doing her thing. She's an artist. This and that. She was modeling at the time. And she was like, I was boxing. I was in really good shape. I was like 135 pounds.
Oh, you were a boxer?
Yeah, I used to train for it.
Oh,
Not really
okay,
fight.
okay,
I never
okay,
wanted to,
okay.
like, mess my face up, but
I
I used to
hear
train
you.
a lot, and I was in really tip top shape. And she was like, "Why don't you try modeling?" And I was like, "Modeling? Like, you crazy? My boys wouldn't even my boys would make fun of me. I can't do that." You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So then she was like, "Oh, but there's a casting call, and this is what it pays." And I was like, the hustler
Right.
in me was like, "Boom."
Mm.
Like, really? That's what you're gonna give? So then I remember I submitted to something and I booked it. It was an Umbro ad, and I booked it. I got like $2,000 for it. It was like a 1-day shoot, and I was like, wow, man. So then I did a few little things, and then I got signed to a modeling agency through a friend. He referred me. I met with them, signed with them. I didn't really like the modeling world. It was very superficial. I was getting older. It started changing. I started seeing a lot of things that I didn't like either, like people trying to take advantage of people just for the I could do this for you, so this is what you got to do, kind of thing. So I was like, okay. I was like, maybe I should get into the acting side of things. So then I started doing. I found this website where I started doing short films, student films, and I was like, wow, like this is pretty dope. And then again, the hustler came out of me, and I was like, oh, wait, if I get on a TV show, this is what they're paying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was going to casting calls, and I finally got signed by an agency. So I started doing that. I got my reel, my resume, all that together, my headshots. I shopped it out, went to a few places. I got signed by a company. I started going out, and I started seeing the payouts. Listen, I love acting. love it, love it. But I'm not one of those guys that I'm like studying. I'm not like a Shakespeare.
Yeah, you seem just so chill, so like.
I like the hustle of it. For me, that's what drives me.
Okay, okay,
Showing that I could do it, grabbing that hustle, make that money, move on to the next one.
okay.
But now I'm getting more, as I get older, I'm getting more into like understanding the world of it, like telling the story. Like I'm getting more into that side because before it was like, all right, let's get rich. You know what I mean? But then that didn't happen, and I'm
Right.
like, okay, we got to still have a regular life at the same time.
Right,
Um,
right.
I have no expectations. I've never had expectations in my life, and I never will. God's will first. So I got into that, and I've been doing it now. I say I started at 28, but I didn't understand it until about 33. Then I got signed to. I got with Vincent Palumbo, which is a manager. Solid. He started getting me like better roles. I actually did Gotham with the other agency I was with, and when I did that, it was a 1-day shoot. I saw the payout. I was like, oh, and I was on set for the day, and I think that's what really did it for me. I was on set, and all these big time actors were there, and I was just there with them. I was like, yo, I'm gonna do my thing, be professional, and it was just so like on point. It was like work, boom, 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 very disciplined. Everybody was doing their job, and I was like, I want to do this. Like this is something I want to do. You know what I mean? Like I love it. I can hang with these guys. I want to do what I can do. You know, and that's what really motivated me. The last 3-4 years because of COVID, yeah, I didn't get vaccinated, so yeah, I refused.
Just gonna ask you about that. Yep,
I
yep.
refused. Obviously, there's ways to go around that with fake cards, this and that, but I just didn't want to be a part of it. My soul, I just didn't feel good about it because of the narrative. I think for me,
Right.
it was more the narrative. Like anybody in that world, I think that's the first thing that they would talk about. I didn't wear masks. I don't believe in masks. I'm a healthy individual. To each their own again. I took both my parents for the vaccination. Anybody who wants to get it, you're free to do it. But me, I didn't. So I didn't have a manager. I don't have an agent. So I'm literally going to start fresh right now. So I'm still waiting because a lot of the submissions, because I submit myself to certain things now, and they still want double vax and this and that. So to get tested, like I've never been tested. I refuse to and I won't. So if it's gonna keep me out of that game for a while, then so be it. I'll figure it out. In the meantime, I'm just trying to write my own stuff now. I wrote 2 short films. I'm trying to get that going. I'm a little lazy. I think it's the life of an artist.
Well,
Starving artist
yeah.
is real. Like
Yeah, for sure.
I'm lazy. I just need to get, and this is nice right now. Like doing this, I feel like this is gonna motivate me a little bit.
Cool. No, that's what's up, man.
Yeah. So
What motivates you to write your short stories or your short films?
I think I have a story to tell at this point. I never thought of it like that before, but I feel like 40 years I've had a long life. I've experienced a lot, and I think it's time for me to start writing it out. Different scenarios. I have a lot of interesting friends that I grew up with. I've done a lot of interesting things as well. Thank God I've never been in jail, never been in trouble.
Right.
But I've seen a lot, done a lot. I want to put a positive twist on all of it. You know, like the film that I wrote now, it's pretty much the short film. I'm going to shoot it with a friend of mine. His name is Bams. We did a podcast together during the pandemic that we were helping small restaurants and artists and stuff like that to try to just make a platform for him. But that film is about a gambling addict, somebody who's addicted to gambling.
Ooh.
And he's a man of faith.
Ooh.
So that plays out. You know what I mean? Because that's something
I want to hear that. Yeah.
Because that's something that I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about. Because, bro, I know people who did 15, 20-year bids for gambling, and all of a sudden now it's on the app.
Yo.
Marijuana, same thing. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to change the subject, same thing. Like, we were running back in the day, bro. Like, we were hiding it.
Yeah.
Now it's on the corner store everywhere. Like, what's going on? Now
Right?
it's okay? It's okay now? Like, really? Like, you know how many people are still in jail for that kind of stuff, man? Like, it's just wrong. So I think we need to just show. What motivates me now is just to be real and just to let it out. I think it keeps me artistic as well. It's kind of selfish, but it's also, I think that's what happens. I think you have to let out your art.
When it comes to being a believer, when it comes to being a Christian, do you think that it's mandatory for us to go to church?
It's tough. I think it is.
Okay.
You know, I fall short, obviously. It all goes back to like me finding that connection, and then I get into a big thing with my issue with things is that I'll find a church and then I'll be like, I can't believe he's doing this. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I'm not doing the
nitpicky.
same thing.
Right.
It's weird.
I hear you.
But when I'm there, I've made some good relationships. Even just going to Roots a few times. You know what I mean? Like, I loved it. I loved it there. Everybody there was amazing. That's how I met you. You know what I mean?
Right, right, right.
It's just, I think it is because you need to find the like-minded individuals. No matter what's going on, I think that's where some of my frustration is coming from now because I'm so around people who just aren't on the same path as I am. So I think it's important to find the people who are on the same path, and we could all just help each other. You know what I mean? Like me asking you, like how do you react to somebody who's not
Right.
I can't ask somebody who doesn't understand that, but knowing you allows me to. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, exactly. And I'm glad that you said that because I never really had this conversation. I mean, with of course with me and the Lord, of course, but like I haven't had this conversation like with someone that I'm talking to right now. I agree with you. I believe that as a Christian, you are supposed to get connected to your church and you're supposed to, go to community group and be involved and volunteer at your church. But honestly, to me, this is church right here.
Huge, 100%, 100%, bro. I've never volunteered in my life. I'm 40 years old. It's horrible. It's an issue, but I wasn't brought up that way. I wasn't brought up to understand
That's
what
true.
volunteering is.
Well, right.
Like having this conversation. That's why I'm telling you it's therapy. Like I think I'm using. I could change the word therapy for church. Like that's church. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like this is real. This is. I'm gonna take more from this from anything that I've had in the last week. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
just being able to open up and understand you're a human being. You're going through the same struggles I am.
Exactly.
We're both leaving it to God.
And to me, that's church. This is our altar call. We don't really need praise and worship singers. We don't need a piano. We don't need a guitar. Like this is just real and vulnerable conversation. And I thought I was thinking to myself, even when you read the Bible, like just Christ was just I and I'm not trying to be blasphemous, but I do think that Christ he was a true gangster. Like he just did church how he wanted to do it.
Oh yeah.
He had like 12 disciples.
There's no
They
time.
all chopped right.
Yeah.
They all chopped it up. They all cracked jokes. They all
That's funny.
they lived life together. They was their own community.
So way to look at it.
And so when me and you made that conversation about, hey, like let's just link up, cool. You know what I'm saying? Let's do it. And now it has led to us, having you on my podcast. And but there had to be community first. It had to be, hey, let's chop it up. Let's go get coffee. Let's really, try and just figure, what I'm saying, this situation out. And I just think that it's so important that, if you are a believer or if you are saved, that, yes, go to church. And I'm not saying don't go to church. I'm just saying, hey,
100%. Yeah.
but you need to have something outside
Definitely.
of your Sunday experience.
Definitely. And that's what I meant by me saying that I've never given my time because I feel like there's people who do that.
Right.
Like we both know Kyle. Like Kyle's amazing at that. You
Shout
know
out
what
to
I'm saying?
Kyle,
Like,
yes.
I can never do what he does. Like
Right.
I look at him. I'm looking at his Instagram. Like yo, bro, how's it? You ain't tired, bro? Like you know what I mean? But that's what
Right.
he does, and that's what he's put here to do. You know what I'm saying? Like you're here to do this. Like we all have our part. And that's one thing I'm struggling with, and it's funny you bringing this up because it reassures me. Like I'm very outspoken. I get very passionate about things that I'm doing and talking about. I take everything serious. And you saying that Jesus was a gangster, it's like it makes me think. Like,
Right.
be you. Like, as long as I do it in a way where I'm glorifying God, what's wrong with it? You know what I'm saying? Like, it can't be wrong if I'm still glorifying. Like, I can speak up and be myself and be outspoken and it just happened. This just happened out of nowhere, so I'm letting it ride because that's super dope that you even said that because that you gave me an answer without me asking the question.
Right. You can just be authentically you.
Yeah.
Now, in the church, they may criticize, they may talk about, but, you can't please everybody.
I say,
And that's why I salute you, Greg, because it's like,
Absolutely.
you live by your own convictions and you're being led by the Spirit to live the life that you want to live. And that's honorable, bro.
listen, I always I know you don't curse on your podcast. I'm trying not to curse, but
No,
I
do
tell
you think?
everybody, man, I ain't like that. And no, seriously. Like
Yeah.
I could think I'm cool and this and that. That's all insecurities, man. Like that's just growing up trying to be a certain way. Like I ain't. None of us. We all think too highly of ourselves. At the end of the day, we have to be humble. And back to the thing up the point of like where people always say this person's doing. Wherever there's humans, there's gonna be corruption. Always. It's been like that since the beginning of time. It's gonna be like that forever. You know. So it's a push and pull. I think it never. You know, the answers are never clear, and that's what I was saying earlier. Like I always want to ask, like, does it ever get fully clear? Does it? Like even the dude that acts like he has it all together, does he really?
Right.
Does she really have it all together? That's. I think we need more of that. Like people explaining, like, bro, I really like. I tell people, and people are like, yo, why do you say that about yourself? I'm like, because I ain't shit. I know I ain't shit. There might be some days that I might feel like, yeah, like,
Right. I'm the man.
but at the end of the day, I'm a number, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I'm God's child, of course. Don't get me wrong.
But without him,
Exactly.
you are that.
Exactly.
That, and I get it. I get it. We are nothing without Jesus.
Simple. I think it all goes back to that, right? I think everything we just spoke about at the end of the day, it all goes back to that. That's it. Just being, that's it. Jesus. Simple.
I'll pray us out.
Yes, please.
I'll do it. Cool. Father, I thank you for this time. Thank you, Lord, for just being amazing, for being wonderful. Thank you for another podcast. And I just thank you, Lord, for my boy and my brother, Greg, that you would just bless him, continue to cover him, continue, Lord, just to have him walk just in your truth, in your love, and just in your guidance, Father. I pray, Lord, for his week. May it be fruitful. May he be able to touch a lot of lives. May he be able to just spread your love and your joy to other people. We love you and we thank you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.